All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dunk on AP podcast. Today, we're going to be dunking on AP World. Today, we're talking land based empires and their expansion, particularly in Europe, East Asia, and the gunpowder empires from 1450 to 1750. So, without further ado, let's go dunk on AP. So, like I said, we are in Unit 3 now. And one of the things to understand about Unit 3, very much like Units 1 and 2, went from 1200 to 1450, but looked at different aspects of those same years. Units 3 and 4 focus on the time period from 1450 to 1750, but look holistically at a lot of different stuff in that 300-year time span. So a lot of people group these into sort of mega units. Units 3 and 4 are very, very similar, but they cover different things about the same date range. So let's start with the gunpowder empires. In the beginning, these empires, other than the Qing dynasty, which we're going to talk about later, descended from these empires descended from the Turkic nomads and spoke a Turkic language. They took advantage of the power vacuums that were left by the various Mongol descendants of Genghis Khan. Tamerlane invaded Central Asia and the Middle East and helped set the stage for the rise of Turkic empires, especially the Mughal Empire in India. This leads to the Ghazi ideal, a model for warrior life that blended cooperative values of nomadic culture with the willingness to serve as a holy fighter for Islam. So, with the gunpowder empires, these are large multi-ethnic states in the Southwest, Central, and South Asia that relied on firearms to conquer and control territories. Among these gunpowder empires, the Islamic ones are the Ottoman Empire, the Safavid Empire, and the Mughal Empire. The Chinese dynasty is going to be the Qing dynasty. The Muslims had improved on gunpowder technology from China, so we know it originates in China, but really the Muslims are the one who really get great at making weapons from it, like cannons and muskets. These empires did trade with each other, but they traded while heavily armed. So some big things to understand. These gunpowder empires are going to differ in a lot of ways, but they also have a lot in common. One of the big things is that they have centralized power, unlike what we saw in the last with units 1 and 2 when we looked at this decentralized empires of Africa, the decentralized empires of the Americas, a lot of the decentralized empires, but growingly centralized empires of Europe. These gunpowder empires are going to be centralized. They're going to have a strong military presence, and they're going to use bureaucratic elites to manage diverse populations. And remember, of course, that the Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal empires are Islamic, but they are different types of Islamic, so keep an eye on that. Let's start with the Ottoman Empire. They're going to last from 1289 all the way to 1923. Very long-lived empire here, the largest and most enduring Islamic empire of the era. So they're founded by the Osman dynasty in the 1300s. Mehmed II rules from 1451 to 1481. He conquered Constantinople, which was the capital of the Byzantine Empire. He did that with gunpowder weapons and renamed it Istanbul. Mehmed the Conqueror, he's famous for the capture of Constantinople. He also planned to capture the Pope, but he was unsuccessful. The Ottoman reached their peak power under Suleiman the Magnificent, and that was from 1520 to 1566. So with the Ottoman Empire, the way that they administered their government, they had a highly organized bureaucracy supported by the Sultan's rule, and they supported the Sultan's rule. They also used the Devshirme system, which recruited Christian boys to serve as bureaucrats or elite soldiers known as janissaries. They converted the Christians to Islam. So the primary religion is Sunni Islam, and that's really, it's going to allow them to, the Ottomans are going to have relative religious tolerance, including Christians and Jews within the empire. So with the Safavid Empire, moving on a little bit now, Ismail was a young military leader who ruled from 1501 to 1524, and he was proclaimed the Shah. He conquered most of Persia and into Iraq. He becomes the Shah and proclaims the official religion to be Twelver Shi'ism. Now, he creates a Shia state in the Safavid Empire. For those of you keeping score at home, oh wow, the Safavid Empire shares a border with the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman are Sunni Muslims, whereas the Safavid are Shia Muslims. If you're thinking in your head, maybe that's going to cause problems, it will. So the empire is called Safavid after Safi al-Din, who lived from 1252 to 1334. He was a Sufi thinker. With the Safavid Empire, you've got two major issues that are going to make it tough on them. They've got no navy, despite the fact that they are connected to the Persian Gulf, and they also have no natural defenses. Like you don't have any massive mountain ranges or deserts or anything that protect you from invaders. Shah Abbas the First was the leader at its height. He revitalized the empire by reforming the military and increasing trade. His capital, which was Isfahan, became a cultural and economic hub. He consolidated power by uniting people under Shia Islam and denying legitimacy to the Sunni Muslims. He frequently clashed with the Ottoman Empire because it was Shia, of course. Now, the Mughal Empire in India, one of the richest and best governed states in the world at its height, Sahir al-Din Muhammad, or otherwise known as Babur the Tiger, invades northern India for plunder in 1523. Gunpowder technology gives Babur advantage. He founded the Mughal, which was Persian for Mongol dynasty. He expands through most of the Indian subcontinent. The Mughal Empire also has Akbar the Great from 1556 to 1605, who creates the centralized government of the Mughal Empire. He was religiously tolerant and encouraged a syncretic blend of Hinduism and Islam, which ended with later rulers like Aurangzeb, who created religious tension by undoing those religiously tolerant policies. He also ends the head tax for non-Muslims. So overseas trade flourishes in the Mughal Empire. Textiles, tropical foods, spices, and precious stones also are traded at this time, and the caste system does continue. That's a continuation during this time. Now, the Qing dynasty. Remember, the Yuan dynasty, led by Kublai Khan, is overthrown by the Ming dynasty in 1368, which expands the size of China but doesn't hold it for very long. The Ming is overthrown after 300 years by the Qing dynasty, led by the Manchu people from Manchuria. They take over the Ming and establish the Qing dynasty. So a couple of important emperors, Emperor Kangxi from 1661 to 1722. He presided over a period of stability and expansion during the Qing dynasty. He also established a protectorate over Tibet. And then Emperor Xinglong, 1736 to 1796, he was a poet who was knowledgeable in art and calligraphy. Things were running smoothly and tax collections were at an all-time high, but military expeditions, some were successful, some were not, drained their treasury. So this is actually going to lead to some limited trade with the West from China. So in Russia, moving our eyes over there now, having driven out the Golden Horde, Russia remains a bridge between Asia and Europe. And no one is ever quite sure, is Russia European or is Russia Asian? And the answer is they're a little bit of both. They're tightly linked to Europe, but they're really an important trade area if you look at them on a map for both of these areas. So Ivan IV, also known as Ivan the Terrible, it rules from 1547 to 1584. He was crowned Tsar in 1547 and immediately begins expanding the Russian border eastward by taking over khanates held by descendants of the Golden Horde, and gunpowder helps him do this. Russia gains control of the Volga River and can trade with Persia and the Ottoman Empire because of this. Under Ivan IV, Russia expands to the Pacific and up to Siberia. Eastern Orthodox missionaries also convert much of the population, and Russia to this day still is majority Eastern Orthodox. And you might be wondering, but wait, what about the rest of Europe? Well, Europe is still relatively decentralized, but continuing to centralize at this point. The medieval period is over for Europe, and the beginning of the early modern period is happening. The 100 Years' War from 1337 to 1453 between Britain and France ends, as does the plague. The printing press by Johannes Gutenberg leads to an increase in literacy. Monarchies are becoming more powerful. You've got the Tudors in England, and you've got the Valois in France, and then you've got Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand in Spain. And those names are going to be very important if you're an American. Keep an eye on that. So that's all I've got for you guys today on topic 3.1, land-based empires expanding. Thank you guys for joining, and goodbye.